Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it on a Sunday after a pretty fun event on Saturday morning. UFC Belgrade happened yesterday, and we had a record number of finishes, and that's what we're looking for almost always. It was exciting. I mean, there was some downtime because a lot of the fights are getting finished quickly because we had like 10 first round finishes, which was pretty crazy, man. When the fight started, I was just kind of like, hey, this is a good start. Oh, look at that, we got 2 in a row, and then it just kept going. We got the one decision mixed into the prelims that was a banger of a fight too. I mean, that thing went all 3 rounds, and you would barely know because it was a fun fight to watch. Action almost all the way through. So that's good stuff, man. That's what a good fight card is made of. And yeah, we had submissions, we had knockouts, we had TKOs, everything, a little bit of everything. And then I think there was, I would honestly say there was only one fight I was not very impressed with, but it wasn't the worst fight in the world. So everything else was pretty damn good. And we'll get to that. It was the one decision on the main card. But I mean, it's not like I said, it's not like it was horrible, but it was the one fight that was just the least entertaining, I guess you could say. So, but yeah, we had fun. I had fun on the watch party yesterday. Just me by myself and anybody that jumped in the chat. So yeah, I went from the prelims all the way through to the main event, and yeah, it was about a little over 5.5 hours. Not bad. Better than the full 6 or more. But yeah, it was a good time. I mean, like I said, there was a lot of downtime because of all of the first round finishes. But that's the good thing, is when you get a lot of the finishes like that, and it doesn't happen very often. Usually you're like, okay, there was a good amount of finishes, but there was, still a decent amount of decisions as well. But what up, John? How you doing? Welcome in. Appreciate you for jumping in. But yeah, it was just a good fight card, man. That's really all I can say, except for jumping into the recap here shortly. But other than that, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm just hanging in there. It's Sunday. Today felt like it went by so damn fast. I have to go out of town for work again tomorrow. So, with that being said, I'm just like stressing about getting everything that I need and getting packed up. So hopefully that doesn't take too long for me, and everything will run smooth. Last time I forgot my damn toothbrush, and I didn't realize it till the next day when I went to brush my teeth. So I had to go buy one, which was annoying. But hey, what's up, Johnny? How you doing? Who should Medić fight next? That's a good question. I don't know. Who should he fight next? Where? I'm looking at the rankings, and man, I don't know who I want to see him fight next. I know he's definitely gonna have to get a decent opponent next because, he beat D-Rod, which, I mean, it's not like that was it's not like that was the toughest opponent. The meta rankings had Uros Medić at 14 and D-Rod at 13. Medić I think he should fight somebody like Joaquin Buckley, maybe, or Leon Edwards. That would be good. Maybe jump him up. How about Usman? Yeah, fuck, man. Especially with the way D-Rod just, I don't know if you want to give him Usman because Usman just lost. You know what I mean? And I know that it's not like he's higher ranked than Usman, but you still don't want to really give him Usman. I don't know that makes sense. But I guess it could be a good fight. I guess Usman. Yeah, I mean, people weren't impressed with his performance against DDP. I don't feel like he did horribly, but he definitely didn't do that great either. Maybe a fight against Usman. I guess Buckley just lost too, right? So shit, almost everybody up there is lost recently. Man, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one a little bit. But yeah, who knows who they give him, but I'm sure he's gonna jump up in rankings, and then we'll see what they wind up matching him up with. Those are the meta rankings. I thought I saw that Medić was 15, 14, and D-Rod was 15, I thought it said on the broadcast. But yeah, so they were going with the media rankings. So above them, right above them, is Michael Venom Page, Mike Malott, Yaroslav Amosov, Buckley, Usman, Edwards, Bilal, Sean Brady. So yeah, I mean, there's some good opponents up there. It's just a matter of what makes more sense. I don't know if Usman makes sense just because, but I mean, he is ranked higher, so maybe so. We'll see what the rankings look like after tomorrow. But anyway, good night of fights, and yeah, there wasn't a whole lot else going on this weekend that I was really, following too much. I think there was a PFL event this weekend, wasn't there? Yeah, I think there was. It was on Friday. Damn, I didn't even think about that because Friday felt like so long ago, which is, I mean, that seems kind of dumb, but shots fired. What? PFL. Let's see. Oh yeah, that was Usman. Usman did won, and that was his last fight. So he was, yeah, that's right, because he was talking about we were just talking about Jake Paul. Oh yeah. What's it called? Yeah, because he was talking about Jake Paul and the fact that the fact that Usman said, these guys are always talking shit about the UFC not wanting to pay, and he's like, well, now we'll see if they want to pay. So he's kind of challenging them to take his contract and do something with it. But and the best flyweight won in the PFL. Yeah, Dakota definitely got the win, so that's good. I'm thinking that according to everyone's thoughts on what the response was from Dana when they said, hey, are you guys looking at getting Usman over here? And he just said something like, we'll see, or some shit like that. But he had a shitty grin on his face, so everyone's thinking that that means something. And then he like tweeted or responded to a post with the video, and he just put a happy face. So it's like, well, I think he just is confident and thinks that he's going to be able to take him away just because it's the UFC. But I think if Usman does what it seems like he wants to do, is he'll find the money, and if MVP MMA gives him that money, then he might just stay there. But we'll see. I think it's best for him to go to the UFC until MVP MMA sorts their shit out. But maybe they want to use him to, up the profile of the fighters that they have and stuff like that, because he's obviously the best, if not one of the best that they have there. I would probably say the best fighter they have there all around. But I mean, Dakota, as far as the women go, is definitely the best woman fighter they have there. So yeah, it's just one of those things, you know what I mean? Like, he fought his contract out. MVP MMA is talking about, making it about the fighters. So if that's the case, then you should pay him. You know what I mean? And that seems to be the biggest thing, is how the UFC doesn't seem to want to pay the guys the amount of money everybody thinks they deserve. So we'll see if MVP MMA can get that done. They have a whole roster of fighters that are going to be expecting more money, especially if the guys at the top get more money. Hopefully they get a deal with Netflix. Yeah, I think because they're kind of already in there with what they did before, the couple times that Jake has fought on there. So MVP has had promotional fights on there before. They might be looking at getting on that. And I mean, if that's the case, at least we'll see a little bit more promotion on it, probably. MVP seems to promote their fights a little better than PFL. I see their stuff pop up a hell of a lot more than I ever saw PFL stuff pop up. So let's hope that they give them a lesson on, promotion and what they're going to do. So it'll be good. It'll be good. And I hope that they make the best of it. I want it to be good. Not because I want something to, come and take the place of UFC or anything like that, but somebody who's just as good as UFC, or at least gets close to being as good as the UFC, would just be great for the fighters and for the fans. Then we have multiple things to watch. I have more to talk about here. And yeah, it'd just be nice to see some other fights happen. But the UFC happens every single week. And the only off times are times that other promotions probably wouldn't be having fights either. So the UFC just keeps us busy. And that's why I kind of stick with covering the UFC the most. And while, you know, all these other events might happen here and there, if you don't hear about them very often or something like that, then you know, it's hard to keep up with it. And it's hard to keep up with all their fighters too, because there's so many fighters in UFC, and then you have to deal with trying to learn all these other fighters and what they do and what they can do. You know, even if they have fighters that came over from the UFC, you still have other fighters on there that you're like, well, I'm not really sure about this guy or this girl, or it's just a lot to keep up with. So if I was getting paid to do this, and I was you know, this was my main thing, I would definitely, you know, keep up better, but I just don't have enough time. UFC has too many events. Yeah, I mean, I like, that's what I was saying about MVP MMA, that I think that, you know, that it'll be best for them to not try to go to the every single week. They should do like two events a month, and if they up it, just go to like 3, but 2 events a month. I mean, that leaves a week in between. Maybe try to schedule their big events around the UFC's big events, instead of scheduling it on a night that they have a numbered event for the month. Make sure it's scheduled on a week that it's just a fight night, so that, you know, if you want to go head to head with them, go head to head with the smaller cards, not with the bigger cards. Don't go over your head like that, because it just never seems to work out. So you're going to be going head to head with the UFC no matter what, because of the fact that they are putting on events every single weekend. But don't do it against the biggest cards. You know what I mean? If their card seems lackluster, people are still going to watch that numbered event probably more than they're going to be looking out for a different event. So it's just one of those things that you got to be smart about it. And I'm pretty sure Jake Paul is gonna take that into consideration, but you never know, because he's that type that has a lot of confidence, and he might think, oh, I want to go up against their biggest cards so that we can show and prove that we do better numbers. And it's like, well, you're not going to control all that when you're not making the entire card filled with ex-UFC fighters and popular fighters that have big names that are followed. You know what I mean? You have to use those fighters on that PFL roster, because you absorbed all those fighters. So now you're going to have to fight them. Otherwise, they're going to have a problem. So, yeah. I forgot about the PFL, so I didn't even think about talking about all that. But Johnny, good call. You know, good shout on that one, bringing that up again. And it got me to Dakota got a YouTube channel. Oh, shit. Okay. I know I follow her on like Instagram and stuff, but I didn't know she was on YouTube too. But yeah, I think she has quite a few fights left on her contract, so we'll see what happens with her if they let her. You know, they're definitely not going to let her go. She's one of the biggest names in that organization, so I don't think they're going to let her go. But I bet the UFC tries harder to get her out of there now that Jake Paul's over there talking shit. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, before we get into the recap and everything like that, let's give a shout out to my sponsor, Noctane, of course, as always. It's how we start the show. What fights could MVP PFL make to bring in views? See, that's the thing. I don't know, man. I don't know what they can bring in unless they start picking up other fighters that are going to make interesting fights. The only thing they can really do right now with the roster they have is make sure that they make the fights that make the most sense. Dakota versus Holly Holm. I don't know that Holly wants to be back in MMA. Even if she does, I don't know. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, I feel like Holly Holm, she didn't even look that great in her last boxing match. I mean, she did, but she didn't. You know what I mean? Get some fighters that talk trash. Well, that's always a way. But I think their biggest thing is to promote them properly and hope that you know, the attention that it might bring in by getting the promotion to be a little better and making these fighters feel a little better about themselves. Maybe they'll put on a better performance. You know what I mean? I know it's not a good fight, but in terms of name value, it could bring in some views. Maybe, but I just don't know that Holly Holm really has that pull anymore. Not the way she used to. She used to have that, but it dwindled out a little bit. Holly Holm is a name, but I just don't know. I mean, half the people call her Holly Holmes. Can't even say her name right, and it's like an easy ass name. So I just don't know that she resonates in people's heads as much as she used to. How do you think Jake Paul versus Yoel Romero in boxing and bare knuckle? Ooh, bare knuckle, not a good sign. That's not a good idea for Jake Paul to bare knuckle box with Yoel. But normal traditional boxing, that might be better. Let me take a whiff of these smelling salts real quick. I got the most potent bottle here. They have two other potencies that are lesser than this one, and you can add a bunch of scents and stuff to it. You can scan that QR code on the screen or hit the click the link in the description below, and it'll take you to their website. You can learn a lot more about it. Here we go. Oh. It's getting to that point where it's wearing out, so it's a delay. Oh, and it lingers. Whew. Damn. But that's what I need. A nice little pick me up. It keeps you awake and alert. And yeah, it's good stuff. So go check it out. Thank you to Noctane for the sponsorship. They should start saying we make the best fights and have the best fighters. I'm sure Jake Paul's gonna say some shit like that, but just look at their horrible matchmaking. Do you own a boat? I do not. I do not. I wish I did, but I definitely don't. I have a friend that owns a boat, but I don't own one. So yeah, I don't know, man. I am interested to see how MVP MMA decides, like, what course of action they decide to take this whole venture into. I owned a boat in virtual life. But I'm just trying to wait and see what they're gonna do. You know what I mean? What are they gonna be their big first moves? What are they gonna do to try to get under the skin of the UFC? That seems to be Jake Paul's favorite thing to do. And what kind of moves are they gonna make? You know what I mean? Like, when's going to be their first big event, all that kind of stuff. That's always what you just look out for. How many, what kind of free agents they're going to pick up, who they're going to lose, because these organizations, they'll always lose people, and it just so happens that Usman Nurmagomedov, one of their best fighters on the roster, just fought his last fight on his contract. So Jake did bring in Eddie Hearn, actually. He did. I don't know if it's going to be, he's partnering with him for the boxing aspect of things, because they're trying to do the whole boxing and MMA. I didn't really catch all the details on what they want to do. If they're trying to do, I don't think they're going to do events together, because then they would have to have two rings. You know what I mean? A cage and a boxing ring. So I don't know if they're going to try to do that in the same night. But I think Eddie is kind of naturally evolving into the MMA aspect, whether Jake brings him into it or not, because he's starting to represent MMA fighters too. So he has a partnership with him now, it seems like. So I think that he's going to be involved heavily. They did lose Parnas, yeah. That's a damn shame. Robel's to Spain too. Keep building Jackson. They need to pick up Jailton Almeida. Yeah, he fought on some random ass card, right? Not too long ago. Build a dope heavyweight division. That would definitely be a good way, because of the fact that the UFC's heavyweight division is kind of, it's not a very deep roster, and it doesn't take much to get a title shot in that division, especially with all the, it's just a craziness going on in there. But build a heavyweight division always brings eyes, because you get the big boys in there throwing bombs, and you get a lot of knockouts. So UFC release Jailton but keep Tai. Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I don't know, man, especially with Tai Tuivasa being on the ridiculous losing streak that he's on. I don't understand that. I don't understand that either. That's what I was thinking. They should have picked up Jailton. Yeah, I mean, they still can. I'm sure they offer him enough money, he'll drop whatever the hell he's doing. It looks like just some one-off competition that he was in. This last fight he was in. So losing Saladin Parnas was pretty. That was a pretty tragic one for them because it was a good name. He did well in the first card he fought for with them, but that's over with. He's going to the UFC, and they gave him a main event in his home region. So it's like, damn. He's getting an opponent that is going to be exciting with Dan Hooker. So, but Dan Hooker's still dangerous. You know what I mean? But with Saladin Parnas being as technical as he is and as skilled as he is, it might be a tough fight for Hooker. So we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, let's get to everything I got prepped for today, and that's really just UFC Belgrade. Like I said, I have to pack after this because I'm going back out of town for work, so you'll see the generic background, and hopefully I won't have issues with the internet. Hopefully I will be able to use my whole setup like I normally do when I go live this Thursday for the preview of what is the next event. I actually don't remember where it is, but it's Mateusz Gamrot versus Quillen Selkild. So it's another somewhat early card. Looks like 2 p.m., but I wonder if that's for the prelims. This card isn't even fully built out, it looks like. Hey, what's up, Rain? How you doing? Welcome back, man. Appreciate you for jumping in. We got Juliana Miller versus Ravina Oliveira. Okay, Steven Asplund, that big dude that knocks people out, versus Guilherme Pat. Louis Sutherland versus Enrique de Silva Lopez. Let's see who else. Billy Goff. Amanda Lemos versus Alexa Tainara. Okay. Darren Elkins versus Yadier Del Valle. Diego Ferreira versus Billy Q. And Gamrot versus Selkild. Okay. Not bad. So yeah, on Thursday I'll be previewing that card. They haven't really built it out on that. I should check here. Let's see if it says here what the next event view card. Let's see what they have on this one. And where is this taking place? Oh, this is in the Apex. So yeah, the 2 p.m. start I think is gonna be for the prelims. They don't have it broken out into prelims and main event. This is strange. It just has a straight up card. That's all it has. It says fight card. It doesn't say prelims or main event or main card. They usually have it broken out. So I think that means that they might be adding more fights, and then they'll break it out and distinguish the difference between all of it. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But that is next week. Because next week is April 8th, right? Yes. Yeah, so we have that card, and then that leads us over to UFC 330. Makhachev versus Ian Gary, Mackenzie Dern versus Jillian Robertson for 2 title fights on that one. So we'll definitely be doing a fight watch party for that. So, all right, let's get to this one. And let's start with a little bit of some updates for Anthony Smith again. With that horrible situation he was stuck in and put himself in, I should say. There's a lot of stuff going around, people talking, seems like a lot of people are more on his side. 330 is so bad, except for that main card. Except for that main event. I'm interested in that fight. Of course, Dern versus Robertson could be interesting, but yeah, the rest of the card, it doesn't feel very great, unfortunately. But yeah, Anthony Smith, his wife comes out and says, there's not a lot I can say right now. I love Anthony with every ounce of my being. He's a good man, a great dad, and an incredible husband who loves us endlessly. Anyone that knows him can attest to that. They made a mental health struggle into something it wasn't. I am safe and always was safe. He would never hurt me ever. I called for help to protect him from himself. So, John, Dern already has the belt. So she's not fighting for it, she's fighting to keep it. So I mean, she did win that belt straight up. It was a, I mean, I guess it was a vacated belt, but either which way she won it. So I mean, I get if you think that she's not worthy, but she definitely is the champ right now. So we'll see if she can defend it for the first time against a tough savage like Jillian Robertson. I know, I don't think she deserved the title shot in the first place. The problem is that there's not a whole lot going on down there. You know what I mean? Like, there's just not a whole lot going on, man. You could probably find a couple of other people that might, you know, be ready to fight for a title, but I mean, I didn't think I'd see Jillian Robertson that quickly going up to fight. So yeah, it's tough, man. It's the women's division. This is gonna be the first. We're in August, and it's the first women's title fight of the year, which is insane. So that tells you something about that division. So I'm not really surprised. I think Dern has definitely gotten better. So I really don't down on her too much. Obviously, it's easy to look at her and watch her, but she does make some weird decisions. Dern beat fair square. I never know if you're trolling or not, but I mean, she definitely beat her. It wasn't too controversial, and yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, she is the champ. So one of the most durable and game fighters out. Jiu-jitsu ace. Yeah, I mean, her jiu-jitsu is awesome, obviously. But yeah, she does fight a dangerous game. She gets hit a lot, and she makes some weird choices sometimes. So, but she does seem to have gotten better, and hopefully that keeps up for her if she wants to keep that title. Robertson is not an easy opponent, and she's gonna be dangerous. So, but back to Anthony Smith. Like I was saying, a lot of people kind of are like on his side, just kind of saying stuff like, hey, you know, it seems more like he just fell into a bad way. Not that this is the real type of person that he is, because a lot of people are out there saying that, oh, this is what this guy's really like. It just finally got known to the public and all that kind of shit. And I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like this is the type of dude he is. My problem is like, what's the truth here? Because if the things that were going on were true, I mean, that's a scary situation, but I can understand people like being able to get past that. At least we know it doesn't seem like he's gonna completely lose his family, as in she's gonna divorce him, or especially if she's trying to get him help. But who knows what her plan of action is. It seems to be like she's defending him and saying that she just didn't want him to hurt himself. So it's tough. The issue I have is that she got smashed by Andrade and Lemos. Virna was relatively safe matchup. I don't know, man. Jandiroba was out there beating people too. So I think it's just the way it matched up. Andrade and Lemos have dropped fights left and right too. And Dern was on a roll, and Virna was there at the same level. So I feel like it was just the right thing to do at the time. So Dern has proved that fighters can improve, because Virna's only weapon is her BJJ, but she isn't gonna submit Dern, a very good BJJ grappler. People can say one thing online but have a different tone in private. Yeah, no, I get that. But all we can go off of is what's being said out there. You know what I mean? So everyone that I know, not that I know, but that I've listened to, that seem to know him and have spent time with him, makes it sound like this is way out of character for him. Mental illness and your mental health going south is something that can make you do crazy things, especially when that's mixed with drugs and alcohol. So I mean, for me, is Anthony Smith black? I think he's part black, actually. Yeah, because you're probably thinking, because looking at his kids, right? That's the real mystery. I think he is part, honestly. But when it comes down to it, I just feel like he has he has some issues he needs to work out, and because he's a public person, it got out there. And you know what that got to do with anything. Do you think Medić can become a superstar in the UFC? Superstar is tough. I feel like he can be a star in the UFC, but a superstar of what caliber? Like, you know, he's definitely can be a superstar in the, you know, in Serbia, where he was. Everyone was obviously cheering for him there. Overseas, maybe. What the hell? But yeah, and I just think, I don't know that he can become an overall superstar. You know, you gotta look at like Ilya Topuria and how he, you know, how he became a star. And it's like, he wasn't 100% a huge star in America, but overseas he was a ginormous star. And then it caught on finally in the US, and then people started liking him. But as soon as he hit that pinnacle, it seems like was when he, you know, when he lost. But I don't know that he's lost too much of that superstardom, so we'll see. I think everyone's waiting to see how he's going to bounce back. Medić might become the next Crow Cop if he keeps getting buff and knock folks out. Crow Cop had something special, and those were those head kick knockouts. Medić is doing well, but it's, you know, somewhat run-of-the-mill type shit, you know what I mean? It's not, it's good, it's fun. But D-Rod, you got to remember, was out for a year, didn't have the best of training throughout that time. This was like his first fight back, so yeah, it's a little bit of a different situation. I think Medić can KO Prates and Morales. Ooh, I don't know, man. I think Morales maybe, if he can stay away from that power, but I think Prates would bring a whole different set of you know, a whole different set of difficulties to that fight. If he continues to finish people like this, everything is possible. Yeah, for sure. I mean, but again, it's D-Rod, you know what I mean? And he's not known for being, you know, the most unbeatable fighter, I would say. And yeah, he was on a 3-fight win streak, but then that time off just was a killer. And this was a tough fight to come back to, and Medić is on a roll. So yeah, man, the shaved head and filled out physique looks good on him. Bilingual helps. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll talk more about it when we get to that fight. But as far as Anthony Smith goes, I hope that he gets the help he needs. I don't know what this, like I said before, you know, it doesn't have to be the wife or the kids that press charges. You know, when people witness things and you know, become everyone thinks that the wife is just a battered wife that is too scared to speak out against the husband. It's not always that, but you know, that's what makes this a difficult situation. So we'll see where they take it, and we'll see what happens to him coming from this. I just hope he gets the help. I'm pretty sure we're not going to see him on a broadcast in a very long time, if ever again. And we'll see if we ever see him fight again too. Just, you know, hopefully his family is, you know, okay and stuff like that, and we'll see what happens. But we'll move on from this and start the recap for UFC Belgrade. Nobody can KO Ian. Ian runs around a lot. Medić has great qualities as a human. Where do you come up with this shit? So yeah, Medić versus D-Rod. As we see, everyone's talking about Medić and that finish. I'm not taking anything away from him at all, but what I will say is, you know, I wasn't expecting a whole lot coming from D-Rod as much as I wanted to. Like I said, he was on a 3-fight win streak, but it's been a year since he had fought, and he had been in prison for 8 months of that year. So that might not be everything that you can go off of, but I think that hey, what's up, Antoine? Not too bad, man. Too short is how my day was. Way too short. Too many things going on, but yeah, we're here. This week of work was super busy. Yes, I don't know about rough as much as it was just super busy, and just got, yeah, everybody wanted something this week, and then I got to go back out of town next week, so next week might be rough. Hopefully yours is going well with those overnight shifts and stuff, man. Hopefully you're doing well. But yeah, the D-Rod situation is tough, man, and Medić is just on a roll. So sometimes a year away is good. Not when you're in prison. Sometimes a year away is good because it can help you, get past those nagging injuries that maybe you keep re-injuring because of, back-to-back camps and stuff like that. Play a Too Short song. I wish I could, but I can't because it's YouTube and they will not stand for that. So it's unfortunate. But yeah, a year away can be a good thing if you're not in prison. He had a lot of prison fights. You don't know that. It didn't sound like he did, but that might just be him not wanting to put it all out there. But he went out and said that he, kind of made friends with the cartel member, and that's how he kind of survived through everything. So who knows? But either way, I don't think that matches up well for, getting in the cage and fighting somebody at a high level like Medić. So I think it makes a difference. But let's take a look at the main card. Going from the bottom to the top as usual, we start with Milos Janicic versus Noah Gugnon. And to start the night off right, we had a finish right away with a submission coming from Noah Gugnon. Look at how many tattoos he has. There's no doubt he got into fights. Oh man. Is that all you need? Is a bunch of tattoos? I mean, I'm tatted up too, but not in the throat, neck, face, head. I guess that's what makes a big difference. I think Medić will KO Leon Edwards in one round, and if he does, next for him is sure Morales Chaprate's main event, and that will be a very hard for him. Yeah, that would make sense. Like, that's what I was saying earlier. Leon Edwards might be a good opponent. Johnny said Usman maybe, but yeah, whoever he fights next, if he runs through them like he did D-Rod, which I don't know that he will, but if he does, then yeah, he's definitely gonna get somebody like for 100 grand a face tattoo. You got chest tattoos? I do have some. I have. Yeah, my legs are all tatted up too. I got one. Take your shirt off. Nobody wants to see that, but I do have tats on my chest. I have one on my sternum, some on my shoulders, and I have a one on my back. I don't have a ton on my back just because I never got that far, but I have a bunch on my legs too. So, and then I got one on my neck there, one on the back of my neck. Yeah. I got some on my hands. As you can see, both hands, one on my finger, this side. The progression Medić is taking is nice. Hell no amount of money. Yeah, I mean, 100 grand, I don't know that that's enough. Give me $1 million and I'll probably do one. What was your first tattoo you've ever gotten? It was, well, I'm from the era of tribal art. So I got some tribal on my arm. And the letter E. Just I got it from someone who, when I was young, I was like 15 when I got my first tattoo. So I got a bunch of my tattoos before I was even out of high school, but that's because shortly after I got my first couple tattoos, my brother-in-law started tatting, and he did a lot of mine. So but yeah, definitely would depend on what tattoo. $1 million would definitely get me to do it quicker. Were you in a tribal gang? No. No. But I did like tribal a lot. So I still think it looks good, but I understand everyone's like, that's the problem with tattoos. There's trends and stuff that go on with tattoos, just like everything else, and it might be cool for like the decade that you're in that you get it, but then once you get about 10-15 years down the road, people might not think it's the coolest. But I mean, as you can see, like, I got tribal there, I got tribal on my wrist. Yeah, it was just a thing back then and I liked it. So tribal warfare. Yeah, I don't know, I mean, it's definitely but more intricate. Yeah, tribal is definitely one of those mainstays in tattooing, but people still think it's like they see tribal and they talk shit, but it's all right. It is what it is. Does Janicic have more fights in his contract or just this one? I don't know. It was his debut, so I would assume he got probably like a 3-fight contract or something. But I don't know for sure. Both of these guys were making their UFC debut, so Gugnon just, you know, he sunk in that rear naked choke after he started with some leg kicks, you know, and he kind of wore out the legs. That low kick was just killing Janicic, and as we saw, I think it was the inside leg kick, and then he was, you know, he's switching stances and stuff, but Gugnon went after the other leg too, so it pretty much just got him down to the ground and was able to, you know, transition into a submission pretty quickly. As we see, 3 minutes and 42 seconds in that lower picture, pretty quickly he was able to get that submission and get the first win of the night by finish, and the first win of his career in the UFC. So might do tribal on my head like Vanderlei. Janicic would kill Gugnon, mark my word, if he didn't injure his ankle. Yeah, that ankle thing was, you know, definitely a big problem. He got that, like, what do they call it, drop foot, I think, right? When you hit the nerve just right and then you can't really stand. I think there was another fight where there was a bunch of leg kicks too. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I'll get to it. But 12 finishes in 14 fights is crazy. Yeah, man. And 10 of them being in the first round, even crazier. But yeah, that drop foot thing, that's nasty, man, when they can't seem to stand on their foot and it's just dead. And then, yeah, you get down to the mat and there's not much you can do. That's what happened to Sean O'Malley that time too. So it's happened a few different times. But, you know, it is what it is. Gugnon gets the win. He hit his nerve in the knee and his whole leg just shut off. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's that weird shit. I forget about that stuff, man. And you know, he held his own for a little bit there, but you can see him like trying to figure out what was going on, and then he just, you know, couldn't stand on it anymore. So yeah, unfortunate, but that is what happened. And then he got submitted and it was over. So didn't have a chance to recover. It happened to Henry Cejudo too, remember? But either way, it did more than Freedom 250, at least first round. Yeah, because I don't think Freedom went all 7 fights in the first round. So they did get all finishes, but yeah, definitely not all in the first round. So no matter what, with 10 first round finishes, that already surpasses the amount of total fights in Freedom 250. So yeah, it was a success for sure. And it was entertaining. I'm glad that I was able to go live for it, and it was fun. It was fun to watch it. So let's move on to the next fight, and that was Gilbert Urbina versus John. I'm sorry, I said John because I looked over and saw John. I'm from Serbia, and I can tell you that Janicic is a bigger star than Medić, like 3 times bigger. It's hard to believe it, but it's true. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that much about Janicic coming in to this fight. So, I mean, that's good to know. Fuck, I did not know that he was that big of a star. So that's probably why you're saying that if the foot thing didn't happen, then he would have probably won. And I'll take it from someone who's from there, that's for sure. So I appreciate you jumping in and you know, giving me that info and interacting on here. That's cool. I appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, next fight was Gilbert Urbina versus Vlasto Seppo. And I had picked Seppo in this one just because Urbina's so inconsistent, and Seppo had a lot of, you know, for early finishes and stuff like that, but it got turned around on him on this one. And you know, in his UFC debut, it's Urbina with a first round TKO in 61 seconds into the fight. So Seppo came out, you know, kind of aggressive, throwing big power shots, but you know, he was kind of winging them and a little reckless with it. So Urbina was able to kind of lock in and be a little more technical, and when he got the opening, he cracked Seppo and was able to drop him, you know, and from there he basically swarmed him. He was hitting him with those elbows on the ground, as you can see in that lower picture right as the fight got finished, and he just swarmed him and got a performance of the night bonus with it. He had nothing like, he had nothing, like was fighting for one per fight, and then he fought the biggest star in this part of Europe. Marco Vukovic, undefeated fighter and gained 250k followers. Damn. Oh, that's a good jump for sure. We all took Chepo. Urbina mocked him at weigh-in and got him props. Yeah, man. I didn't see any way Urbina was gonna get this win, but he surprised the hell out of me, and you know, he definitely took advantage and got the win and a bonus. So good for him on that. Chepo, I'm sure he'll come back, and I'm sure he'll get another fight and maybe be able to prove himself in another fight. So next up, we had Dusko Todorovic versus Robert Valentin, and I was going with Dusko in this one just because Valentin, you know, I wasn't all that impressed with his performances before. And you know, same with Dusko, but I don't know, I just went with Todorovic. I had, you know, one of those, Seppo made a stupid ass mistake and paid for it. he sure as shit did. Winging those crazy punches, I don't know, his style was weird. He came out super aggressive and just fucking winging punches, and yeah, it was just not the best thing for him to come out and do. So hopefully he comes back and fights a little smarter. But as far as this one, there was all expenses paid to Serbia. I don't know, man. I don't really know a ton about Serbia. So I mean, I would have to look into it to see if I would actually be interested in going there. For me, the biggest thing, I've talked about it before, is the flight over water. And the long flights and flying over water for me is something I'm not sure I'm comfortable with. But maybe all expenses paid would be hard to turn down just to experience it. But like I said, I don't know a whole lot about Serbia, so I mean, shit, who knows? I haven't heard bad things, so I guess I could say maybe, yeah. If I could get myself on that plane to do that flight, that's the biggest thing. So but yeah, Dusko Todorovic and Robert Valentin. Valentin, first round guillotine choke submission over Dusko, who everybody was rooting for, obviously hometown favorite. Zukia versus Grad. I will tell you something about this fight that you didn't know when you get to it. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we will definitely get to that soon. Let's see. Todorovic, you know, he came out a bit aggressive too, and he was looking to put the pressure on Valentin, but you know, he left his neck exposed during a scramble, and it seemed like every time he was going, you know, he was keeping that head on that right side, and Valentin was just catching him every time. So he was able to lock up that guillotine and, you know, force Todorovic to tap out. So he got that first round finish. Good, you know, it was a good submission from Valentin, and, you know, dealing with that pressure from Todorovic coming out right away, you know, he was able to stay composed and, you know, find that opening to get the choke in. So good on Valentin, another first round finish, and, yeah, that's how that one went. There isn't a ton to go into with a lot of these fights because they were first round finishes, you know what I mean? But still fun fights, man, and it's kind of good. It kind of works out for me because, like I said, I do have to do my packing, so this one might, you know, be a little shorter than usual, but you guys get me going and talking and stuff, so I stick around at least until until we're done with all that. So let's move on. Alexander Rakic versus Marcin Tybura. Tybura, I said it on the watch party. I just hate his fighting style, man. I don't like the way he fights. When he looks good and he does things well, obviously it's you know, it's good, but there's always some kind of awkwardness about him, and I just don't like the way he fights, man. His fighting style is just kind of cringy. Like, I just like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why do you fight that way? It just seems weird. But yeah, after Rakic dropped 4 straight in the light heavyweight division, Tybura was on a 2-fight losing streak as well. But Rakic comes up to the heavyweight, and you know, he got himself right against Tybura and was able to come out with the win. This was the decision on the main card that I was talking about. Would you ever buy a new pet? I have 2 dogs. That's really all I need and want right now. 2 dogs is a lot to deal with sometimes, especially my dogs, little bastards, but I love them. But yeah, yeah, 2's all. I've had 3 dogs in the house at one time at one point, due to just kind of sitting, kind of dog sitting for a longer period of time, and just 3 dogs was too much. So yeah, probably not. But yeah, this this was the fight I was talking about where, it didn't feel lackluster. Just when you compare it to the rest of the fights, it did, lack a little bit here and there. But Rakic looked pretty decent. Tibera had his moments with the clinch. That's kind of what he's good at a lot of times. He puts on the pressure, gets you in the clinch, and throws knees and lands knees and stuff like that. He's good with the kicks too. He doesn't look like he'd be good with the kicks, but he does have decent kicks. So, but Rakic, he controlled the range fairly well throughout the 3 rounds, and got some key takedown attempts that that landed at times that made it easier for him to land some strikes and make his way to that unanimous decision. So he needed to bounce back after the 4-fight losing streak, so this was a good way, especially moving up a division. Sometimes you don't know, like, especially moving up to lightweight, or from light heavyweight to heavyweight, that's a bigger jump. So and then coming off a 4-fight losing streak where you got TKO'd like 2 or 3 out of those 4 times by lower weight, a lower weight class guy, coming up to the heavyweights where that's what they do, is knock people out. That was a big chance, but he took the chance and he came out successful. So good on Rakic for that one. Next up, Jan Blachowicz versus Navajo Sterling. And a lot of people were doubting Sterling in this one because Blachowicz, we know, is a vet. He's had a lot of big name opponents, that he's beat as well. And he's had some really good fights in the past. Former champion. He did defend it once and all that good stuff. But, he's like 43 years old now and slowing down a bit. You think Rakic is young enough to fight for a belt at heavyweight? I think a lot of things are possible in heavyweight at this point. So I wouldn't rule it out. But I definitely would have to see him go on a good win streak first, because losing 4 in a row, just because he won this one doesn't mean that he doesn't turn around, fight a tougher opponent and get finished again. So if that happens to him, it's going to be tough. But maybe he does have some time to be able to do it. As far as Navajo Sterling, though, he was able to prove all the doubters wrong. Everybody that thought Jan was too experienced and was too technical for Sterling was proven wrong, with Sterling finishing him in 2 minutes and 56 seconds of the first round. He looks good but needs finishes. Yeah, I mean, it's good he got this one right. Former champion. Maybe this is the start of a streak of him getting finishes again, because he started off pretty well and got a couple good ones, but then it's been a bunch of decisions and stuff. So again, though, Jan is older, seems to be losing a step, and with Sterling, he was at least 10 years younger, if not more. And obviously quicker, has some power. The Polish power almost caught him. I think he wobbled him once. That Blachowicz landed early and kind of had Sterling in trouble. Like, he just wobbled him where it was like, oh shit, if he would have like followed up with that with something on that one. But that's the thing, you get older and you think too much about it, and Blachowicz is not really that guy to just pounce like that over anything unless we would have dropped him. So yeah, Navo did the right thing, composed himself and kept his undefeated record. He took control quickly after that and was able to land the big punches that dropped Blachowicz, and was able to finish him on the ground. So elbows and punches on the ground were nasty. Sterling, he's relentless with those when he sees the opening, and he took advantage and got the finish. So 11-0 now for Sterling, and Blachowicz, you know, another loss for him, which is unfortunate, you know, being that he was a former champ and all that. But that's how it goes when you fight the younger guys, I guess. This makes 3 in a row for him. 3 losses in a row. He had a majority decision draw in between there and right before the 3 losses in a row. Basically, since his last win, he's had 2 draws and 3 losses. And all of those losses were by decision, except for this one that was a TKO. So heavyweight and welterweight, 2 hardest divisions for sure. Heavyweight's just not stacked right now, though. It's tough in heavyweight because, yeah, you got the guys with the heavy hands and stuff, but yeah, man, I don't know. Heavyweight doesn't seem to have a lot of talent right now, which is why guys that are, you know, guys like Hokit are just making their way up quickly. Oh, light heavyweight. Okay, that makes more sense. I do feel like light heavyweight is missing some stars and missing some, you know, some depth, but welterweight for sure. Welterweight for sure is definitely a tough division. But I mean, light heavyweight, it's there. It's just, I think light heavyweight and heavyweight usually are the toughest, and because they're just lacking depth in those divisions, it just isn't that right now. I think welterweight, lightweight, those are a couple that are, you know, have some depth to them. So, and a lot of things can happen in those divisions. But next up, we got the main event. Uros Medić versus D-Rod. And I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about here because it was, you know, 30 seconds basically for Medić to knock out D-Rod. And, you know, I was hoping to get a decent fight out of this. I was like, hey, if we get a first round finish, that's great. Yet another first round finish. But I thought for sure it was going to last longer than a minute. And it actually was, you know, half a minute instead. T-Rod forgot what a punch feels like. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. That time off, like, you know, it's not like D-Rod was, yeah, he was on a 3-fight win streak, right? Let's look at those wins before he went to prison. Kevin Holland by decision. Santiago Ponzinibbio by TKO, probably the best win there. Of course, the win over Holland was good too because of Kevin Holland. But Kevin Holland, you know, he wins and loses a lot. It's back and forth a lot with Holland. And that's kind of D-Rod too. Ponzinibbio, you know, he hasn't been great for a while, so we got a TKO off of him last year in May. And then Alex Morono by decision, and it was a split decision. So before that 3-fight win streak, he was on a 3-fight losing streak where he lost to legit opponents: Neil Magny by sub, Ian Machado Gary by TKO, and then Kelvin Gastelum by decision. So those are really tough opponents, so I can't, you know, hold that against him too much. But, you know, he's a very streaky fighter. He looked really good in the beginning, and then, you know, he's gotten these 3 wins leading up to this, but then he had the year off in prison, all that stuff. And I hate to keep harping on that, but you know, it is a thing. And for Medić to just come out and destroy him like he did, it just shows and proves that, you know, he wasn't ready for that big of a you know, that skilled of an opponent, that higher level opponent, especially coming back after all that. So yeah, Medić can live off the bonuses. He doesn't need the contract. Yeah. Yuri, what's going on? Yuri back in the chat, appreciate you for coming back in. So yeah, I mean, this was a hell of a way to end a night of finishes, and a hell of a way to end the entire night. I mean, this is I expected this from Medić, but I didn't think it was going to happen that quick. I thought we would get to the, you know, near the end of the first or go into the second at least, but man, Medić just made short work of it. Explosive first round finish, continues his streak of first round knockouts. I think this makes the 4th one. Let me look real fast. Yeah, 4 TKO first round finishes in his last 4 fights. For this, you know, again, his 3-fight win streak coming into this fight all happened in the amount of time that D-Rod was in prison. So that, I mean, that makes a difference, man. And his last fight against Jeff Neal, he got a performance of the night bonus, and he got another one. So that marks 4 TKO wins in a row, 4 first round finishes in a row, and 2 bonuses in a row. So he can fight again before the end of the year for sure. Oh, 100%. 100%. If they can find a good opponent that'll make sense, that'll be good for him, because he's definitely able to, with not really sustaining any kind of damage whatsoever. So let's get into these prelims and see what we had going on down there with the rest of the finishes. And we start off with the women that kicked off the night. Last 4 fights he won by 4 first round KOs in exactly 4 minutes time. 1, 2, 3, 6, that'd be 23, almost exactly 4 minutes. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. What a difference between what D-Rod has done, you know. It's kind of nuts. But yeah, we start off with the women that kicked off the night, and that is Stephanie Luciano versus Marina Spasic. I think Spasic. Luciano, you know, coming in, spoiling the debut of Spasic. I fucking Spasic. I think that's how you say it. I hope I'm not butchering that too much. But yeah, she was making her debut, and she was 7-1 coming into this fight. And Stephanie Luciano finishes the fight with a submission in the first round. 3 minutes and 30 seconds in, she's able to sink in a rear naked choke and finish the fight pretty early, and gives us our first fight of the night with a finish. So yeah, that's what kicked it all off. Marina Spasic is a very good kickboxer and was a kickboxer before the MMA, but not very good at wrestling at all. Yeah, I think if she cleans that up, you know, that's definitely gonna make her a lot better. And you know, but I mean, Luciano came in guns blazing, man, and she was ready to go. I think Spasic caught her a little bit early on, and was doing decent in the beginning, but you know, it only lasted what, 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and yeah, Luciano took over quickly and made quick work of her after she got her rhythm, and you know, landed those big shots and was able to sink in that choke. So yeah, Spasic, it'll be good for her. What's up, Tyler Betts? Welcome back, man. It'll definitely be good for her to, you know, get some better submission defense, and you know, but that was a crazy sub, quick one, and she just sunk it in quickly and tight right away. So you know, it was just a good win for Luciano. So next up we had Jovan Leka versus Alexander Popik. And dude, the nasty body shots, holy shit, by Leka, just digging those toes in that midsection, and you know, found the liver and was able to get Popik doubled over in pain, and just folded him basically. And then he swarmed on him with punches to finish the fight. And yeah, that was an explosive one, and the fact that he caught him with the body kicks was what was kind of impressive too, you know what I mean? Just, you know, when you fold somebody in half because of a body kick, you know, you got that shit, you know, flush. And man, when they played it back with the sound, I was like, wow, that was an intense sound. Leka won at the DWCS but didn't get the contract, and now he won here. Yeah, talk about really proving yourself in your first fight, man. I mean, he did it in a great way. You know, a lot of times people think, oh, you gotta, you know, knock somebody out by head kicking them or knocking them, like putting their lights out with a punch or something. But those body shots, when you fold somebody in half like that and they can't do anything about it, and you swarm on them and beat the shit out of them until the ref stops you, those are exciting finishes too. I don't mind them at all. And yeah, it sucks when they catch that body shot and nothing happens after, but you're still like, damn, he got him with the body shot, that's crazy. But that's really it ends there. But when you see the entirety of the finish and stuff like that, it makes it nice. So but congrats to Leka on that one. I believe both these guys were making their UFC debut. Yeah, both of them making their debut. So Jovan Leka gets the debut win after not having gotten the contract in the Contender Series, even though he had won in that fight. So directly in the liver, yeah. Yeah, man, that's just fucking nasty, especially the sound it made. Holy shit. All right, moving on. Nina Milosevic versus Haley Cowan, and about to spark up before work at the night shift. Hell yeah, Antoine.
Smoke weed every day.
Enjoy that. Nina Milosevic versus Haley Cowan. Some body shots happening in this one as well. Milosevic, put together one of the best performances of the night. It was a good fight. She was just breaking Cohen down and just landing on that body, man. Nasty strikes to the body, and was able to finish her with those body shots as well. Cowan has retired. Did she? I didn't see that. I don't like how he cheated against Ignacio, but beating Ignacio and Klein is impressive. Oh, you're talking to Tyler. About Tofik. Yeah, I told you, man. I felt something with that guy for some reason. I had a feeling, and I can't believe I was right. But yeah, it was one of the few times I actually was just stuck with it. And yeah, she announced it on social media. Oh shit, okay, I missed that one. Well, that sucks. I mean, she hadn't been really putting on the best performances. She's 7-6 overall, and in the UFC she was 0-4. Is weed illegal in Arizona? No, it's good here. Yeah, we're good here. So let's see. Yeah, that put her on a 4-fight losing streak. One by decision, one by sub, and her last two were by TKO. So yeah, I mean, I can understand why she retired. I mean, it sucks, but sometimes you just got to know when to call it, Yeah, he's a cool looking guy and has sick tattoos. Oh, Tofik, a bad guy for the UFC. She could go 0-10 and the UFC still would have kept her. maybe, but do y'all have like dispensaries? Yeah, we do. We have some pretty decent ones here. Yeah, we definitely have them, which is nice, because at least you can do it the right way instead of having to deal with the illegal way. Because I remember back in the day having to try to find somebody trustworthy and try not to get caught. It's funny because now everyone wants to watch Tofik lose his next fight. I can't wait to see Titans next. Oh, God. All right, moving on. Mateusz Rebecki versus Kyle Prepolek. Man, Rebecki, this dude is just one of those guys, like, win or lose, it's fun to watch him fight. Prepolek definitely comes out there ready to brawl, and Rebecki just kind of looked like, hey, I've seen this before, I know what to do here, and took advantage. He used relentless pressure and some dominant ground and pound to overwhelm Prepolek. He was out of breath at the end of the fight, but I heard someone saying that Tofik called out Bobby Green on social media. Oh shit. Yeah, that'd be a tough one for Green, but he would definitely have fun trying to beat him, that's for sure. But yeah, it's like Rebecki got on top and basically just took advantage of his ground and pound pressure, and pretty much just kept beating on Prepolek until the ref came in. So you ever think UFC will stop setup fights one day? They set Kyle up to fail. I don't know, man. For some reason, they I don't know. They just put together weird fights sometimes, and I think in any organization they're gonna find somebody that is like, okay, this isn't an outrageous matchup, but yeah, some of the hardcores might see it as a fight that isn't really worthy and looks like a setup for somebody to win and somebody to lose. But the fun part about MMA is that it could definitely go the complete opposite way than you expect. So sometimes that kind of shit happens, and but I think it's the nature of the business, to be honest with you. It's a damn shame when they do it over and over again and it's blatant, but at the same time they can kind of do whatever they want. So how do you think Tofik would do against Tom Nolan and Faraz Sahim? I think, trying to remember, Zaim, I think he would beat. Zaim is too inconsistent. Tom Nolan, you know, he's one of those guys I forget about a lot, and I don't know why, but I never remember like fights from him in the past and stuff like that, so I always have to look him up to know. So I would say, you know, maybe he has a good chance against Nolan, but at the same time I feel like Nolan's a little tougher and a little more consistent than Zaim. So yeah, I don't know. I think Tofik looked really good in that fight though. So yeah, let's get to the next one. Bogdan Grad versus Dennis Bazooka. Let me find the right button. There we go. And I think Alexa had something to say about this, right? Imagine if there was a KO bonus that night. Which night? And that's why whole arena cheered for the Grad guy, even though Kosovo is part of Serbia, where the majority of people is from Albania, and that's why Albanians say Kosovo is Albania and Serbians say Kosovo is Serbia, and that's why the whole arena cheered for the Grad guy, even if he is not from Serbia. And later on you can hear that the whole arena is singing Kosovo in Serbia because the war against Albania was for okay. Holy shit, man. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of stuff I did not know. Me trying to keep up with that stuff is like me trying to keep up with you know, like hockey, because I don't watch it much. But not that I don't care, it's just, you know, it's just one of those things. I've never really kept up with all that stuff, but that's definitely good knowledge. I kind of wonder sometimes, you know, about these areas, because, you know, in a lot of breakdowns and stuff that, you know, like stories written about the fights and shit like that, people say hometown this, hometown that, and I'm just like, but if you look up where they're from, it's like it seems different. So then you start to wonder, like in other, you know, overseas, it's like a whole different thing, you know. You can be from here, from there, or you know, and be a part of this, a part of that, and this turned into that, and there's a lot of that stuff, and it's just like yeah, that's difficult for me to keep up with. So I stick to what I know, and that's some of this. Could be fights before the UFC were rigged. What? Did you vote? Oh, no, I definitely, yeah, we might have a chance against Zaim after his last fight. Okay. Anyway, where was I at? Oh yeah. So I mean, Bogdan Grad, you know, this fight against Bazooka, I was, you know, I was surprised because it got past that first round, and that was the first fight that went past the first round that wasn't a decision, because we had that one other decision. But oh no, this was the first one that got to the second round at all, because the decision came after this, actually. So yeah, Bogdan Grad gets the submission in the second round. He should have gave 6 bonuses. Dana needs blackjack money. I heard Peter Parker looking to fight. What the fuck? Yeah, this, I mean, it was a good fight. Bazooka put up a fight in the beginning, you know what I mean? It felt like a back and forth kind of first round. Grad found his, you know, his opportunity in the second after, you know, turning things up, but he got beat up quite a bit in the first round. Bazooka was looking good, but he was able to get him down to the ground. You know, you see that he landed a head kick there. He was doing a lot of those spinning attacks, a lot of spinning back elbows, a lot of spinning back fists, a lot of spinning kicks. Yeah, he was doing a lot of that shit, and you know, he landed some here and there, but for the most part, you know, being able to finally get Bazooka down, and this one was that controversial kind of tap, because Bazooka was doing okay, but you know, he got in this position and it looked like he was going to get out of the choke, and he wound up turning his body in a certain way that allowed Grad to be able to get the rest of his body over to the backside of him, when before it was they were up against a cage. He didn't have a chance to move his body and get out there to get the leverage, and unfortunately Bazooka just kind of moved in a way that allowed him to get his body over there, and he tightened up that choke. So then he was trying to like push his, I think he went to push his leg off of him to try to, you know, break the body lock. And when he went to push the leg off, he looked like he tapped and then pushed the leg. So he argued that it wasn't a tap. It you know, in the replay, it looked like a legit tap. When you look at it in real time, it looked like maybe he just hesitated to push and was trying to push the leg down. But when it comes down to it, he tapped, and that's what sucks for him. But you know what his favorite gun is? What? The whole arena screamed that they want Grad to kill Bazookia the whole time because Bazookia is Albanian and not the American, as it says. And he can understand Serbian. Do you think he will win an appeal? No, I think if anybody saw that, they would just be like, hey, that's the ref's decision, and that's a tough decision to make. But it did look like he tapped, and if he did, he was saving him from what he didn't want to do, which was go to sleep if he tapped. So I don't think he would win an appeal on that. But yeah, I mean, this was a pretty fun fight regardless of it all. The controversy at the end made it, you know, interesting, but Grad definitely got that win. And yeah, I mean, everybody kind of forgot about that one shortly after that because the night kept getting better. Imagine if the ref didn't stop it and he went to sleep. It would be the ref's fault. Yeah, and that's the thing, because it's the ref's fault right now anyway, according to some people, because he should have seen that wasn't a tap. You know, anybody that was going for Bazookia would say that, you know. So no matter what, the ref gets blamed. The difference is he didn't have to go to sleep or get injured at all. But also, who knows, man? When it comes down to it, it was a close call. And as much as I feel bad for Bazookia, if he really wasn't trying to tap, it was too close to call. And you never know. A guy's never going to admit to the fact that he was, you know, caught trying to tap and then act like he's not. So, you know, it's a tough one. Anyway, moving on. You think Jason Herzog should be punished? Not for that. He's done way more egregious shit than that. Who you got in Yair versus John Silva? I pretty much don't know how John Silva doesn't going to sleep on a choke isn't bad. No, not at all. I wasn't really saying that. I was just saying, like, getting injured as in, like, you know, what if he if you can tap, you can escape. No, yeah. Damn. Yeah, and some guys just don't want to go to sleep. That's what I'm saying. Some guys just don't want to go to sleep. So, you know, if they want to tap, they expect the fight to be done when they tap. And if you keep it going, then, you know, that's when that feeling of something wrong is happening. So that's all I was saying. I mean, I know it's not I've seen people go to sleep and wake up and be fine. But it's just, you know, I'm just saying that's not what he was wanting if he was tapping. So regardless, either way, it'd be the ref's fault, and everyone's gonna blame the ref anyway. Yair was out because he hurt his wrist. I have a feeling Yair could win. Yair was giving Max and Volk tough fights on the feet. Would you tap or go to sleep? It depends. I mean, if I'm in a real fight and someone's choking me, I'd probably, if they said they would let me go if I tap, you know what I mean, then I would probably tap, because I wouldn't want to go to sleep and then get kicked in the head a few times after I, you know, get put out. But in a match like this where there's a ref there, I would probably, you know, I would see if I would fight until maybe I just went out. I don't know. I've never really been in that situation. Nobody wants to go to sleep, just escape, exhaust all your options. Yeah. Choke me unconscious rather than knock me out unconscious. 100%. Yeah, for sure. So moving on, though, we had Borislav Nikolic versus Mark Vologdin. And dude, Vologdin, this was a crazy fight because Vologdin, thanks, Antoine. He didn't want to tap because before the fight he said that he would rather die than be beaten in the middle of Serbia, and he tapped, and that's why he is saying that he didn't. Oh yeah, I guess that would make sense as to why he was, you know, fighting it so hard. I can understand that, I guess, but I feel like that's kind of one of those situations where it's kind of like, man, you know, don't let that shit get to you so bad. But more so, I feel like, you know, he's losing money, and it looks bad that he, you know, and he loses the fight, so it's tough. it's tough. So he doesn't want to lose any of that, and he did, because of something that maybe he felt like he wasn't actually doing. I just don't know that he realized how his, you know, his hand really looked like it was tapping. So I like Vologdan. He's so fun. Yeah, man, I can't believe how small he looked against Nikolic, but man, he hung in there. You can see how bad like that punch looks in the top picture. He got the elbows to the, you know, and got cut up and shit, but man, he hung in there and made it a good fight. You know, he was getting worked at the end there, but he had his moments in the early part of the fight too. I felt like it was 1-1 going into the third round. Some might say that Vologdan still maybe edged out that second round, but I definitely thought it was 1-1. And, you know, Nikolic just came out and had a very good end to that third round, and that gave him the win. So he just had a kind of cleaner boxing. You know, his movement was good, timed the wrestling well, and won on all the scorecards. So it wasn't a flashy win, but at the same time, he looked really good, and it was an entertaining fight. So Nikolic was the champion, one of the best organizations in Europe, Brave, and took the fight on short notice and won. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, Brave CF is good. I got to interview the president of Brave CF, and that was a good combo with him. He seems like a good guy, really driven, and he knows the game because he used to fight himself. So that was a fun thing to do. He should cut down a class, in my opinion. Oh, Vologdan, yeah. He's tough, man. He's still tough though, but yeah, sometimes too many of those fights will get you in big trouble. Anyway, moving on, we had Michael Oliveira versus Oban Elliott, and you know, I was rooting for Oban, so it was unfortunate that he lost, especially because, you know, he's kind of been on hasn't had the most luck lately. He's now on a 3-fight losing streak. So that's a decision, a sub, and a TKO loss for him. But Nikolic almost got slipped in the first round. Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Like, Vologdan in that first round was money, and it looked like the second round he might have edged it out too. That's why I'm thinking that Nikolic had that sense of urgency that he needed to have in that third round in order to, you know, turn things around and get that win. But yeah, Oban Elliott, man, sucks. 3 losses in a row. He loses to a guy that's undefeated coming into this at 9-0 and making his UFC debut, and he comes in looking like a beast. He looked huge, man, and like I was saying, he reminded me of Anthony Rumble Johnson, looks wise and the way he fought and stuff. I'm sure you could find a picture. I'm a believer in Oliveira now. Oban cost me for last time. Damn. Yeah, it sucks. Found it. What did you find, Tua? But yeah, I mean, even in that lower picture, like, it just reminds me of the way that Anthony Rumble Johnson fought. And like, when you looked at him in a certain way, angle, he kind of resembles him a little bit too. So yeah, that was kind of crazy, but that was a impressive win. 1 minute and 49 seconds into the first round. Michael Oliveira makes his UFC debut with a TKO win over Oban Elliott. I mean, he did it quickly, and you know, he showed off his speed, he showed off his power, and showed that he's a finisher. So, mini Yoel Romero, shit, maybe so. But yeah, that was an impressive one there, and that brings us to the last fight on the prelim card. Tofik Musayev, who we were talking about earlier, versus Ludovic Klein. And you know, Klein was the favorite, I believe. Yeah, minus 255. Musayev was a plus 205 underdog. Oh hell yeah, I listened to G Unit back in the day. I used to wear the G Unit merch. Like, they had their clothing line, their shoes, they had hats and shit. And yeah, I used to wear G Unit. I was a big Dre fan and Snoop Dogg fan for a long time. And then I turned into a huge Eminem fan, especially because Dre brought him up. And then yeah, G Unit followed after that. Yeah, man. And D12 and stuff, I loved all those. Tofik is an issue at lightweight. Yeah, man. With him being the underdog, you know, something like I said, something caught my eye about Tofik. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I was just like, man, I know Ludovic Klein is a beast, but I feel like somehow Musayev was gonna get this win, and he did. But it was tough because Klein was coming off that win over Rebecki, who we saw an impressive win earlier in that. Biggie wore the G Unit tank top. No, I didn't, but I definitely had some of the shirts and pants. And yeah, I had a bunch of G Unit stuff. But that's what I do. I find shirts that I like, like brands that I like, and then I wear them for a long time. And then I was a big Tap Out fan, so I wore nothing but like Tap Out shit for a long time. And then then I stopped that when they got out of the MMA game. So but yeah, I mean, Ludovic Klein had some moments early on, but this one went to the second round, and 4 minutes and 7 seconds in, Musayev was able to land some heavy shots after some pressure, and then just a barrage of punches that he landed on Klein, and was able to get the finish. So he looked pretty good in the fight, and he being able to get the finish and be one of the 12 finishes out of the 14 fights. Just a crazy night of fights, and that led us into the main card, where I thought for sure things were going to change and we were going to wind up with a bunch of decisions, and instead it just kept going. So 10 first round finishes, 12 finishes overall out of 14 fights, and then 1 out of the 2 decisions was a really good fight. The other one wasn't horrible. So an all around exciting and entertaining fight night. I mean, I really can't complain too much. You know what I mean? It was a fun card to watch, and I got to do it all on stream, and that was even fun as well. So yeah, hopefully anybody that was in here that got to watch enjoyed it, and just be on the lookout for any other watch parties I do. It's usually for the morning, like the morning cards, but other than that, it is especially for the numbered events. Could you ever hear the fans on the TV or not? Yeah, I could hear some of the chants. They were when they were chanting stuff here and there. And then you could hear the crowd in the background, because I do have the volume up just a little bit in my ears while I'm talking, watching during the watch party. So yeah, I could definitely hear the crowd. It seemed pretty lit, actually. Why isn't this called the best card of the year? It might be, you know what I mean? It's still early. They'll be in Shanghai soon. That's at 4 a.m. Oh, okay. Well, shit. When the ones that are on super early, I'm like, I might not do the whole card and just do the main card, because that seems to be the times that I'm actually able to do it. more so than oh yeah, it looks like 3 a.m. it says. See, I could wake up and probably do 3 a.m. but it just depends on when the main card is on. So when the prelims start at like 6 or 7 a.m, that's kind of easy for me to get up and do the whole card. But yeah, trying to do something at 1 a.m, that's tough. 3 a.m, I could probably handle that. So UFC Belgrade sold out in 15 minutes, and the Islam card is still not sold out. That's because they put together a shit card for that. Yeah, there's not a lot of really good fights on that card, besides the 2 title fights. So yeah, that's tough. As you see, Belgrade showed out, and so that was, it proved why that one was sold out in minutes. Let's take a look at my picks against the Fight Wheel predictions. We both picked Uroš Medić to beat D-Rod. We both picked Navajo Sterling to beat Blachowicz. I picked Rakic over Tybura, and the Fight Wheel picked Tybura. So that is 3-0 for me and 2-1 for the Fight Wheel. We both picked Todorovic, and we were both wrong on that one. And then we both picked Chepo. We were both wrong on that one. And then I picked Gugnon, and the Fight Wheel picked Janicic. So I went 4-2, and the Fight Wheel went 2-4. So not too bad, man. Honestly, I'm surprised that I've been beating the Fight Wheel. So kind of not by a big margin, but it's always like a decent amount of fights that I win over lose. I'm surprised at my picks overall recently. I think there was a couple times in a row there where I only got 1 loss, but I know the second I start betting on it will be when I stop getting good records. So anyway, that about does it, man, for UFC Belgrade. And that does it for me tonight, because I got a pack. So yeah, come back on Thursday for the preview of UFC. I think it's like Vegas 1, 2. I don't even know at this point. I hate to say it. I can't even keep up with which one it is. Yeah, good night, guys. I appreciate you all for jumping in. But either way, it's an Apex card, and it's headlined by Gamrot versus Sal Killed. So come back for that preview on Thursday. Have you been watching Zuffa? A little bit here and there. I watched that last one. What kind of luggage do you have? What the fuck? I don't know, man. Just luggage. Yeah, I don't even know. I know I have one like Swiss luggage. What is that? Swiss something or other, but the rest of it, I have no idea. It's the only one that stood out to me. So, but anyway, yeah, that's it for me. Come back on Thursday for that preview, and be on the lookout for any other content. Make sure you hit that like button before you get out of here. If you're not subscribed, please do that as well, and hit that notification bell so you know when I put out any kind of content or go live. That's it for me. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Peace.